Hello and welcome to another amazing Gnomon live stream. My name is Chris, and I'm very glad to have you here with us. You might be thinking, Chris, we've seen this one time before. Yes, I have been here before. This is my home away from home when I'm working, and my new office at the new campus is on its way. We're all very excited to check that out. If you're interested on seeing what I'm talking about as far as the new campus is concerned, go ahead and head over to www.noman.edu. And all the info is right there. Very exciting. So before we get started, if you're looking for closed captionings, please head over to Facebook or our YouTube. If you're already watching us on YouTube, then you're all good to go. Next, we'd love to thank our sponsors, Dell and NVIDIA. Without them, we wouldn't be able to provide you with such awesome content as you're about to see right now. And speaking of awesome content, if you like this, share it, like it, subscribe. Make sure to stay up to date with us because we're always doing really fun and interesting stuff like today. Now, today, I got a little chance to talk with our presenter before about kind of how they got into what they were doing and all the stuff that they get to shift and adjust and kind of pivot while they're working on stuff. And I got to tell you, it's really fun talking to people that come here and speak with us because I get to really kind of see like, oh, are you really into sci-fi? Are you really into fantasy? Are you really into action? This, that, or the other. And our presenter today has worked on so many awesome things. Stuff like 300 Marvel movies. Of course, they worked on Damsel, which we're going to be talking about today. I mean, the list goes on and on right here. The Expanse, we got a chance to talk about that. Star Wars: The Force Awakens, which I'm a huge fan of. Avatar. I could spend 2 hours going through the whole list of what they worked on. But instead of doing that, why don't we all introduce the VFX Supervisor and Digital VFX Supervisor at Rodeo FX, Mathieu Dupuis. Dupuis.
Hey, Chris, yeah, you have it.
Yeah, sorry.
That's all good, man.
That last part. Good to see
Yeah,
you.
it's
Good to
all
see you.
good.
We're practicing so much.
Thank you. What a presentation! I'm super flattered, man. That was really cool of you. And yeah, it's everything is really amazing. The countdown made me a little bit nervous, like oh, it's about to happen. But then the presentation that you just did is like that's super cool. I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah,
Thanks, Chris.
I think we think you're good here, and that's why you're here. We can't wait to get in all the insight. I think you have quite an extensive presentation for us. I did want to just kind of start off a little bit before we get into it. I know a lot of people in the chat. You're probably going to have some questions. If you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. We're going to go ahead and stash them to the side. Make sure that we have them all in one place, and we're going to have a Q&A at the end. So even if it's at a part and it's at a certain slide or anything like that, we'll make sure to keep tabs on it. So don't worry, we're not forgetting you. We're not ignoring the questions. We're just storing them all until the end. So that way Matthew can go through everything that they got for us. And they got a lot. Matthew, you got a lot for us apparently.
I do. I do have a lot for you. I hope you're gonna enjoy it. But yeah, it's fun for me to talk about Damsel because that show it's been on air since March, but I was working on it since 2022, and it's really pleasant to have a look back of what we did and analyzing it and sharing that backs that I have from this movie and share it with you what I like about it, what I really do like of how we approach some stuff, and some stuff that I'm like, if I can do that again, maybe I will approach it differently. And I think it could be interesting for you guys if I can share my maybe little mistake, so you will avoid those mistakes in your career, hopefully.
I'm ready. This sounds very in-depth and insightful. I think if you're ready,
I'm
now
ready.
time is any.
All right, let's start. Okay, so Chris gave a little bit of presentation of who am I. So just to sum up that, I'm Mathieu Dupuis, like Chris said. I'm from Quebec, Canada. I I studied in television and cinema as an editor. I was at school as an editor, a little bit like your school. There's a school called Aurea et Technologie des Médias, or in Technology of Media, here in Quebec. And I've been working since I got out of school since 1997 as a editor on Flame Suite for a while. And after that, doing movies. I was a flame artist for 20 years. I did a lot of cool show. It's true. It's really, really nice to see that when you look at it. I work on 75 feature or episodic TV series and stuff like that. So yeah, it's impressive. But I also work on Snake on the Plane, The Spy Kids, and The Shark Boy, and a movie called 10.5 Apocalypse. So, start of my career, we were doing everything that was on our table. And even though I seems to laugh about those one, I'm really not. Every movie that I worked on was always another step to put on my knowledge, and at the end, it's giving us the opportunity to work on the previous movie that we just looked at. And the latest one that I just finished, that's going to be on air soon enough, it's the Lord of the Ring season 2 series. So hopefully you're going to like it. So that's me. It's about that. I love cat and hockey, and that's it. Everything you need to know about me right now. So that's who am I. I'm going to show you where I work. So I work at Rodeo FX, and just for you guys who don't know what Rodeo does, I have a little scissor reel that we can take a look at.
Dang, that was.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. We can watch it 2 more times. That's fine. I thought it was amazing. that was super fun to watch. We got a comment in the chat. Somebody said, "Whoa."
Yeah,
It was
it's always surprising when you look at stuff like mash up together like that, because we're working all the time and we're facing our screen and our pixel, and it's like that for every movie. At the end, you're like, oh wow, that's really cool. But at some point, you are struggling. I'm pretty sure you guys, at school also, you're like, oh man, what I'm doing, and at the end, like, huh, it's really fun. But when you see all those movies mashed up together, it's like, huh, it's really, really cool. So, so that's what it does. Now I'm gonna show you, and I'm gonna talk over it. But that's a little presentation of where Rodeo is, and I mean who we are. So we're based in Montreal, but we have also other studio in Canada. We have another one in Quebec City. We have another one in Toronto. We also have a little studio in LA. I was there 1 month ago near Venice Beach. It's small one, but it's there also. And we have one in Paris that opened lately. So I'm gonna go with the point there that the major point. We started that studio in 1997. We won an Oscar for, I mean, we were part of a project, we won an Oscar for the Golden Compass. And after that, the thing like exploded when we were working on Game of Thrones season 4. And from there, it was crazy. So Game of Thrones, after that, Stranger Things, and a couple of Marvels, now Lord of the Ring. So I don't know how many movies that we worked on, but yes. So that's the realization of Rodeo. One thing that I really love about our company is like it's mid-size, but we have like 3 core value, which is creative, cool, and collaborative. And I think it seems cheesy, but that's really what we are. We have a bar at in the office, so we're kind of casual about a lot of stuff, but when we are at the moment to really work on our craft, we're super proud of it. So that's what Rodeo is. That's where I'm working for the last 7 years.
That's awesome. Is your bar one of those fancy bars that looks like it's a globe of the earth, but you open it up and then the bar is inside, or is it like a full-fledged?
It's not that fancy. I've never been to a place like that. Our bar, it's this bar. That's what it is. It's our we have our presentation there when we're looking at the Emmys or the Oscar when we're nominated. I mean, everybody can go there and watch and hope that our people that are in LA are gonna win. And I mean, that's it's really cool. Honestly, it's really, really fun.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go back to my slide and talked about the main event. Oops, sorry, not share. Done, but slideshow. So Damsel. So like I was saying a little bit earlier, that show came up in March. It was really a fun show to work on. It was funny because I worked a lot on Stranger Things 3 and 4 a little bit, and then again I'm working with Millie Bobby Brown. It's like she's attached to me. I'm working with her on Damsel. So let's dig in my presentation. So I try to split it in like main subject, but I know myself. I know I'm gonna go rogue a little bit from time to time. So like Chris said, pile up your question, and I'm gonna answer that at the end of the presentation. I'm starting with the project timeline just because it's important. We start in June 2022 and we finish early 2024. It's a long timeline. We had some slowdown here and there during that timeline, but basically I worked on that movie for more than 1.5 years. And you will see that I'm going to keep that timeline up there. It's not really related all the time to what I'm going to show you, but just as a reminder, in that industry, the timeline is always there. I always have that in my mind, in my head, that it's a reminder that it's really cool what we're doing, but we're doing it for a client. It's not like Pixel that we're doing for ourselves. So that timeline, it's important to keep in mind. So it's going to be there. So first thing that we did for the Damsel that I did is receiving the script and receiving the brief from the client. So it was a little bit, the way it's working is I'm doing something. I think I was on Jumanji at this moment and I have a ring or Better Call Saul, I don't remember, but we have like a call and it's like, maybe this show is coming. Do you have time to read the script? And it's like, okay, let's go do it. And sometimes we receive reading a script, but we're not working on that movie or that series, but this one we did. So I read that Damsel script having a glass of wine and listening some Lord of the Ring soundtrack just to put me in the good mood, and it was fun. But you read the script, I know what it is, but hard work. It was a medieval period film. We figured that there was a lot of environ to work with, a castle, but every time that they talk about the castle, it's really from far away in the script, a slimy creature, and that's about it. So I don't really know, because we have like the first part of the brief. After that, we have a go. We have a green light. We're working on that thing. So now we have more information. And that client was really, really, really cool to work with, because he had a lot of stuff to share with us from the get-go. So storyboard, receiving like really, really early stage of storyboarding, but we do like that because it's already giving me like a scope of how they want to shoot that movie and how they're visualizing stuff. And they were also a scouting team. So they have this drawing and they find like a place that looked like it. And so that was like for one of the scene. Same thing for the reveal of the castle in the Stone Mountain. They find like the right place to do it. I will be completely honest with you guys. Maybe they were like scouting team first, then showing that to the storyboard artist, and then they create like a thing that's. But the goal here is to match what they have in their mind with the location. So all of that movie was shot in Portugal and Spain for all the exterior. Because it's beautiful out there, and the scenery is amazing, and there's a big vineyard and it's really lush. But sadly for them, the time that they were there to shoot, there was a big draw. Like it was no rain for all summer, so everything was kind of yellow. So it was like a later problem. Yeah, storyboard. That's what we call like the holy books, like the Bible, that we're always referring to that when we're kind of lost a little bit. So that was all the reference that they sent us for the exterior. That was like a reference for the Stone Mountain. It's a real place called Pico Aurea in Spain, and a lot of that was pretty much in the same area. What this VFX Supervisor client side did was amazing, and I'm going to show you something. It did create a Google Earth project with all the location. I'm sorry, it's a little bit crappy, but it's going to become a little bit more clean after a while. There you go. So that was really amazing. It was the first time I worked with a client doing this, and I was like, oh, that's a neat idea, because then we can have, since I know that we will need to do a lot of environmental work and recreate and modify and enhance stuff, we can geolocalize, have a geolocalization of those real place. And then if we don't have a LiDAR of those area, we can at least have a good base from Google Earth. And we have the real, even the place that they were thinking of shooting, but they didn't went there. So just for my curiosity, it was also really, really fun to have. And we do have, like I said, the main area where everything regarding our work was happening is near the castle itself and around the valley. So cool. So we know we have that, and it's really fun. And I was really happy to work with this. So that was for the exterior. For the interior, the cave, everything was shot in London. So on soundstage. So they give us like the journey of Elodie, of the main character, basically. Like it's almost like a maze, which is in fact a maze in ground. So that was fun to have. We knew already that I was working in the glowworm sequence and the flower cave sequence. And that was also helping me to say from the get-go, okay, it's happening in that quarter of the movie, it's giving me like the pace of what kind of mood we will be in at that moment. So it's all cool information to start creating and thinking and looking for some ref and stuff like that. So like I said, the glowworm cave, and we have also a couple of storyboard, the first sketch of what they did, but they were pretty dead on. So the show is happening. Like I said, we already knew that there was a lot of problematic weather. So lushy environ scenery of Portugal was not lushy at all. It was really, really green. So they decided to give us a bunch of LiDAR because we knew from that moment that we will need to enhance more than they expected, enhance the Portugal Valley, the Douro Valley, and stuff like that. So by adding those LiDAR, it was a good base. And from the same time, they give us everything. So at the moment that they have a LiDAR, they were sending that to us. So LiDAR of the castle, LiDAR of the exterior of a different area, and also some Unreal. Geez, I was going fast in my screen grab. Sorry, guys. And some Unreal also reference. So all of that just to explain that pretty soon we receive enough data so we were ready to work, even though if we didn't receive any edit yet. So at least asset side, it was a good thing because we can start pushing the ball and work. And also, I think it was helping them to understand exactly what will be the scope of the movie. We received that, but like I said, we didn't receive a proper edit for a long time. So that was a little bit problematic because we were pushing to receive materials so we can work. So we do have the asset. So, okay, we have an idea, we can clean some LiDAR and stuff like that. But as the shot itself, we received some plate, but the edit was so soft and the movie was like 5 hours long. So we need to start and we need to split the work on what we guess, what will be the scope of work. So an example for that's like, we knew about the environ, we knew that we need to work on put more green when it's yellow, like what we're seeing right now, and had castle in the background or ruins. It was not really clear, but what was clear is like, okay, I know that I think with looking at the movement, it could be NP. And I need to take that decision at some point. We need to move forward. So, okay, let's go. Let's book an NP artist and let's go with that for that shot. This one, there's a lot of parallax in that one. So that's not going to be NP. I know we need to enhance the glow string somehow. I don't know the look exactly, but I'm pretty sure we'll need the camera match move for this. So, all those kind of guess that you need to take and to just start working. That was an interesting one. We're gonna come back to this one later. A long shot, but we don't see a lot of green. It's not even a green screen, but a screen for a while. And so this one, I know we're gonna see the Douro Valley analyzing the camera. There's not a lot of parallax, so I might be able to do it in NP. Good. I'm starting to do the process for NP work. And as I'm doing this, I'm also I explained everything already, but doing NP, I can already have a first draft, and it's confirming that it's gonna work in NP. That was like a first from a concept. We did that really quickly. Is that what you have in mind? It's like, yeah, I guess so. Okay, I think NP is gonna be the right way to go. And for other shot like this one. Oh, sorry, I went too fast. Oh, this one. Same thing. That's the final result, but just to give you an idea that when there's a lot of parallax of thing that we need to add, no NP, or not totally NP. It's going to be like a mix of stuff. And after that.
And just as a quick aside, when you say MP, you mean
matte painting?
Matte painting?
Sorry about that.
Right.
Sorry
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. As I wanted to make sure that we're all on the same page.
And do this because like I have those, I'm speaking that language for so long, so sometimes I forget. So MP matte painting, you're totally right, Chris. Thank you for keep me on the right track. So
No, it's also good to get all the students, saying the proper vernacular too.
exactly.
Pros don't call it matte painting; they call it MP. So learn now.
um, for this one, we did because it was an important one. We knew about the Rural Valley that we need to put more lush, add more, a little house here and there. So we did a concept which is almost this thing, and we projected because and I'm going to talk about it a little bit later. But concept artists, they are amazing. And in fact, that's the studio that we have in LA. It's what the concept artists are there, most of them. And we have Dick Ferrand, that's the one who did that concept. It's also the guy who did all the concept for both of the Dune movie with Denis Villeneuve. And he's working for us, and he's amazing. So when he's creating something the client he's like, we're gonna switch that concept into a good matte painting with a multiple layer and just project it because it's working. And sometimes it's hard to have that level of detail in Enviro with a full CG world. So I took the guess of going with matte painting for this one. And the client was happy. Client was like, that's cool. We're going to add some movement in the water. That's a 2D cheat that we can do. All good. Like I was saying, concept art is so cool. Concept artists are so cool. It's a thing that I learned over the years that it's never a waste of money to take time and create some concept art, even if the shot seems to be easy to achieve. It's gonna remove a lot of round of note with the client. It's gonna remove a lot of question with the clients. Like, you're gonna work on one single frame, because starting from a green screen with a single character, and you need to change everything, let's say behind me, for, I don't know, a castle in Portugal. It's like, director are good, but sometimes there's like, okay, they have something in their head and it's take a long time to achieve, to arrive at some point. When you're doing with concept art, it's quicker. And then they're like, it's really cool. They like it. And then we do like 3 rounds, and then we go and move forward with the shot itself. So for example, that shot where on upper screen left, it's the original footage, which, like I said, was a little bit dry. On screen right here, upper screen right, which is the concept, was like maybe the 4th version of the concept art that we did. So adding a little bit of cloud, adding water in distance, more greenery, and a little house here and there, remove the road, and they were happy. And that's where we're like, you know what? Let's convert that concept into a matte painting with a proper color space and technically accurate. And that was it. That was like almost like, I think, 3 version with client side, and that was it. On our side, we do more version, because we want those things to be perfect. And when we're arriving at a stage, certain level, we show that to the client. And I think with the client was maybe a couple of rounds, maybe not more than 5, and that was it, because we were matching the concept. So it's good, right? Next slide. Same thing for this one. This one was a big one, also from Dick Ferrand in LA. So I think deserves to be in big screen, this one. It's a nice shot, nice location with a crappy quality, but here you go, it's better now. Really cool, but not super. In the story of Damsel, she's from a place that it's really, really poor, and they struggle to have vegetable and food. And she arrived there, and everything is lush, and they have like so many vineyard and so many everything. So when they shoot that, they were like, it's a little bit dry, isn't it? So that's why we went into the matte painting stage, which is upper screen right. And something also with that I have to say with matte painter is like, they don't care. It's like a bit with editor. I don't know if you work with editor a lot, but editor, they're rarely on the set with the director and everybody. They're always like, behind. And so you're not attached to that particular scene. Let's say that scene up there, it's a little bit dry, but when they were on at that day, they have so much fun, and the actress was so good, and the food was good at the end of the day. So everybody had a good memory about that shot. And when they arrive, and it's like a natural reflex. The director want to keep it in the movie. They don't want to cut it. The editor is like, he was not there, and he's either had this exterior eyes and say, no, that's not working at all. It's like, it's flat. I'm going to remove it. So it's like really, really almost emotionless about everything, and that's what they need, because at that point it's the story that it's important. It's a little bit the same thing for the matte painter. It's like he's looking at that shot. You don't have any memory of that shooting day because he was not there. It's like it's lacking like an opening. We need an opening right there. So we just remove all the mountain in the background. Poor Portugal, but to remove all of that, he put water, he put sea. So we had a couple of discussion, me and him and the VFX client side, and we're like, you know what? I think that there's a shot. Let's present that to the director. And the director was like, whoa, it's better. And it was so good in Portugal, but this one is even better. So we just use it and put it in multiple layer, and there we go. That was like a matte painting, a concept, transform into a matte painting, and we had some moving crowd in the alley of the vineyard, and that was it. So this one also was an easy win. And I'm always happy when that happened, because easy win, it's happened sometime, but not all the time. Another cool thing with concept art, it's to allow us to resolve like multiple shot at once. For example, this one that's called the LA ledge attack sequence, which is done by Ivan Meja, which is a great concept artist also in LA. And we knew about this sequence. We knew that Elodie was looking in distant the castle and the base of the castle, but we have 3 shots. So we just split that. We did like a bigger concept art that was taking care of 3 shots, the 160, the 80, and the shot 6. And just those 2 shots that are really specific. So it worked. At the end, we did not completely just use the concept art. We refined it because we're closer now, but at least it gave us like a good reference of what we need. And the director, when he sees it, he was like, that's it, that's good. Just put it a little bit more cold, more blue, add snow. That was it. Next slide.
That looks really awesome. It's wild because the stuff that you're pointing out, where you're like, oh, we had to adjust this, and there was a drought, and there was a lot of dry brush here and stuff like that. It's so interesting because there's just no evidence of it when you're watching the final product. And I understand that it's your job and you're supposed to do that, but it still is very remarkable to see kind of all the steps and be like, wow, it was just dirt. Like in some of those shots, there was just dirt.
Yeah, it's true, but that's good. It's because we did our job well. That's a good point. And we, with that concept, we did also the master shot, which was like the shot as she's looking at the castle, and yeah, it worked pretty well as well. So same deal here. All right, so that was for the concept there. Oh, there's another one. This one is really interesting, and we're gonna talk about this one a lot. For me, this is like a really cool shot. I think it's my shot that I like the most about that movie, because you can see the potential of that shot, but everything is so yellow, and there's a boat full of tourists on the Douro River at the same time. So you're like, okay, it's gonna go somewhere, but where? And they have like cool lighting. I mean, the shadow are really nice, but we do have the camera crew and the camera rig going over the vine. So I know it's a lot of thing to do, but from you know it's gonna work. That shot is gonna work. So we did a couple of concepts, and like I was saying before, when we start doing the concept at the beginning, the only info that we have, like at the really early stage, is like you might need to put a little bit a bit more greenery in the mountain. I was like, okay, So, and especially on screen and screen right, because screen left is going to be a castle, so don't bother about screen left yet. So, okay, and it was like, no, that's not enough, and we need to remove the mountain. And I was like, okay. And then I understand it's like, okay, we don't really care about the plate, basically. We're just going to keep the road. So we went there. So we remove everything that was on screen left. And at the end, we kept basically the front part screen, bottom screen right, and the road. Everything else, we did that concept. And I was like, that's it, because I knew about the other shot, that's going to go super quick as well. Even though that one, there's a difference, which is not the little one. We have our castle in there. Like I remember at the beginning when I read the script, every time that they talk about castle, it was like from far away. And I was like, that's far away, but not that far away. So it's like already I was like thinking of maybe changing the methodology for doing the castle. And the way it's positioning on the near the river and the way the bridge is. So it's okay, but I have a good start. I can move forward with this. Concept art also, it's fun to have, but sometimes it's sadly the cool concept that we're doing are not making the movie. So I have to remember on those Blu-ray special edition, it's not in the movie, but so we have that here. I have two cool concept did by this one is by Dick Ferrand as well, and it's really, really cool. So from that shot, he created this, which I was like, oh man, that's going to be so beautiful, but that it's not in the movie anymore. And the other one, it's from a sequence that was supposed to be at the beginning of the movie that Yvonne did. And I remember when we sent that, it's not in the movie, but when we sent those concepts, the client, the VFX client side said, you know what I'm going to do with your concept is I'm always waiting at the end of the session with the director, and I'm always ending up with those concepts because it always ends up on that is so cool. So he's always happy when he's get out of the room, and if they print them and they put it in their screening group in London. So there's a multiple reason why concept art is fun. It's also make the client, the director happy, even though if those shots are not in the movie anymore. Next subject, and you see, now we're a little bit later in the time. It's not really exactly accurate, but just to I remember like we have some fun creating some cool concept art, but hey, you have a movie to make, and there's a lot of shots. So at some point, I need to decide 3D work or MP work. And I said, choose your weapon carefully. And that's a little bit a lesson that I learned. So remember this shot when I was talking about like, okay, there's a cool concept. They like it. Let's go in matte painting, MP layers. That's going to be awesome. They're going to like it. And the reason I'm doing this is because I know there's a lot of things to create, and they did this Unreal scene just to explain what is the castle, the distance between the castle and the mountain, the stone mountain in the back. But there's no way I'm going to recreate all of that in Enviro. It's going to take like 5 years to do that with all the detail. She's walking into this. And so we need to be precise where we're going to go in full CG. Remember at the beginning, I analyze with the camera movement if we go matte painting or Enviro. So we need to analyze those scenes, those shots, and decide, full CG or not full CG. So looking at the previous scene, it's like, okay, that's cool. This is like the analyze that I'm talking about. So this is like a top view. It's a little bit hard to see, but this is a top view of the Stone Mountain and Castle area, which is called the Aurea land area. So at the bottom, you're not seeing my arrow, but at the bottom of all of those little pictures, bottom screen, right? We have the Stone Mountain and we have the river, and the red is the area that we're filming for each scene. So that's what we see in the background. So by having that analysis, I know we are in pretty much safe to go either Enviro work or matte painting work. But I have a surprise. This is the concept that I was talking to you about earlier. So this is the concept project on the couple of layer. But after that, when we did receive edit later on, there was a new shot that I knew about it, but it was not there for such a long time. And that was the shot right after the shot that I decided to go with matte painting layers. And I was like, oh, we see so much now of everything. And this is like just an Unreal with a projection of the background of a picture of Duo Valley. And that's it. I was screwed. There was no way we can do matte painting for this one. So I knew we need to match in Enviro the matte painting and the concept. And as I was saying earlier, that's really hard to do, to match all those little detail and from the concept into Enviro. So many small assets to create. Even working with speed trees, which is awesome, that there's too many stuff. So lesson learned, roll back and decide to do multiple angle from another round with all of the shot, that the latest shot that we just received, and did a proper Enviro work. Having like the concept and the matte painting still as a reference, but represent it to the client. And that's super dangerous. I was really nervous about that because he's used to that concept. He's used to that matte painting and like it. It's like, okay, I know you like it. We're going to change just a little bit. It's going to be better. Yeah, so we had a couple of discussion about this one. He agreed and he loved it because after that, that's covers so much shot after that. So that's what that chapter is called. Choose your weapon carefully. You need to be sure. And I guess, if I'm being completely honest with you, is I was so, and that's the danger that I give you as an advice. I was so eager to show him stuff, to show the director, that because I knew he was nervous about a bunch of stuff, and I was like, oh, he's gonna be so happy about this, and he's gonna be so happy about the fact that he have a shot done. That I just went too fast. And we need some time to just, calm down and be sure about the surrounding shot before, committing yourself. And that's what I learned on that one. So, like I said before, we ends up doing a bunch of that area. That's like just an aerial view of all the grass from Spitry and the little village that we had also there, that we were mapping over the LiDAR that we received of that area. And we were extending, the LiDAR was covering a bunch of land, but the remaining we just created from some concept that we have. So matching some model with the actual LiDAR. And then on top of that, add a lot of vegetation. Next slide. Come on. And yeah, that's the result. Just to give you an idea of, by the end, yeah, I'm pretty happy about it. It's working pretty well, and that scene down there, at some point he called me, and he called Rodeo. I was in the call, just not me, but he called all of us, saying that shot at the bottom part of the screen was like one of the best CG shot he ever saw, and he was really happy, and I was like, okay, that's good, we're safe. The rest of the Enviro was going to work. So yeah, I got a little scared, but at the end it was all good. Slide. We did the same thing we're looking always, what we just looked at was always toward the valley, the other side of the river, but we did the same exercise with the stone mountain and the castle, just to be sure that we were covered in terms of what will be lighter, what will be asset, what will be matte paint. And so we did, it's not all of them because there was 100 picture of like this, but we were focusing toward the stone mountain and the castle to avoid the same problem that we just had. That's bring me to my shot that I like the most, but a shot that I also learned something about methodology on this one. So this one I knew that there were no concept art. I mean, concept art can be a good reference, but there's a lot of parallax, a lot of distance. So I knew it's going to be Enviro, right? wrong. Because when all the thing that we just looked at, the safety net that I have ingratiated with Stone Mountain and the castle, when we put it here in the real world, that's how it looked, because that's the actual size of the mountain that we create for all the other shots. So here, the environ word is not working, or the asset environ is not working. It's like, oh no, that's not at all like what he like about the concept art. It's closed, it's flat, it's not open enough. It's like, oh geez. So we need to create like a single asset just for this shot that's going to cost a lot. How we can manage that? So we roll back. We went to matte painting for a lot of stuff, and at the end, and it's one of the reasons that I'm really happy about it. It's at the end we use all the department for this shot. So the matte painting is really involved for the far background and screen right. We have some, this is not for the same shot, but I didn't find what I was looking for, but we create those vines in CG with speed 3 as well. Like sometimes we had some rock and some vegetation when it's clear, close to the camera and we see the parallax. We used our asset of castle, so pure CG, FX for the water. So by the end, we managed to make that shot, I think, one of the coolest one of the show, because there's so many departments involved, and it's a little bit like in the concept. We just kept the road, the character, and I think up until the last vineyard on middle screen right. After that is the village and the castle and environ, and all of the screen left near the river. It's all environ work. So, and it's working fine. So, and of course we add birds. If you don't know, you guys, how you can make a shot better, just add birds somewhere. It's always fun.
I like that. That's our little Mathieu master class for today. In order to be high up in VFX, add birds.
Add birds. When you don't know, it's like J.J. Abrams was adding lens flare. You know, some Michael Bay was adding explosion and camera shake. Me, add bird. And that's it. That's a two-shot. You know, from original take and the result, pretty cool. All right. After that, I have a chapter called Design Fast and Build Efficiently. So I talk a lot about concept art and matte painting and a lot of MP layers and stuff like that. So that's what we call the good old way to do stuff. You know, it's been like that for forever. There's new tool that we like to use also now, and sometime when we're going full CG mode, which we cannot really all the time lean toward the good old ways to do stuff, and because it's too complicated. So for all the interior sequence, the glowworm sequence, we knew that we need to do those glow string. And funny enough, I didn't know about it. I don't know if you know about it, but those kind of glow string, they exist for real. So they have a place in New Zealand when they have those string. And I was like, okay, fine. We can maybe just take, I guess my slide is in the wrong order, but where it is, oh no, I know what I was. Let me roll back. So we have those plate that there's kind of something that they did on set, but it's not really, I mean, feel more like electric cable to me than actually glow string. So, okay, we knew that we need to, and there's a lot of movement, and so no MP for sure, no matte painting. So, okay, fine. We're gonna recreate that set, not entirely, but the section that we knew that we would need to attach those glow string. So we use the LiDAR, we make it clean, and with a good camera tracking, we put it like one-on-one with the set. So, okay, all good, we're good. We have the wall. That was the easy part, because that's the part that we know. Use LiDAR, make it clean, have a good model, should match the set. What I was worried about is the look of the glow strings, all those strings. And yeah, that's what I was talking about. Those picture, except the one in the middle, that's the real thing in somewhere in New Zealand. They have those cave with those little insect that's creating, I think it's to catch bug. I'm not totally sure. Yeah, I think that's what it is. And okay, but they're like pearl, like a little bunch of little dot back to back. And there's some with different color, and it looks so different from what they have on set. The one on set is just lined with a like a sphere at the end. So that made me worry a little bit because I didn't know exactly, because it was saying like we want a glowworm like they have in New Zealand, like we did on set. So I was like, that's not. I mean, it's different. So we need to find a way to iterate fast, really, really fast. So of course, I don't know if you work with Houdini, but we went there. We're working with Houdini a lot at Rodeo. Where basically we're are about to almost switch everything in Houdini because it covers so much department, from FX to lighting to even animation now, which is not really perfect, but at least they're going somewhere. And but for FX, it's the thing. So with our FX artists in Enviro, in fact, it's not FX artists, it's our Enviro artists, which is a good thing that you know a lot about Houdini because he switches mind in Houdini mind, and you have this idea. It's like, I'm just going to create something really fast in FX kind of way, but not moving, and create like a single way to generate a bunch of line, and those line I will be able to really quickly, like we see right there, change their shape, change their length, and even change the nature of it, like if there's going to be line or sphere. So he built that like in 2 days, and he showed me that because I was not totally sure, to be honest, like, are we going in full asset or still in Enviro, because it's like an in-between world. And he was like, no, I know how to do it in Enviro. I'm going to take care of that. Don't go in asset. I was like, I'm not sure. And he said, you're going to be sure tomorrow. And he showed me that video, and I was like, okay, I'm sure, because there's so many ways to iterate from what they have on set to what we have as a reference from New Zealand. So for this thing, that's why that chapter is called, I don't know how it's called, like be fast and be efficient, something like that. That's exactly what was done for the entire glowworm, glow string cave sequence. And that was one of the sequence that at Rodeo, the other VFX supervisor was telling me, Mathieu, that's going to be hard. That's going to be a lot of back and forth with the client. But I really do like those kind of little worm. I do like so much them that I 3D print one of those that we did for the movie. We have a 3D printer at Rodeo, so I did that. But so I really want to work on that sequence, and I was really happy about it because at the end, the client was really happy about that sequence. So Houdini saved the day right there. And that chapter called Comp Time, like I said before, my background is not Houdini at all. It's not Enviro, it's a comp. So I did Flame for almost 20 years, and Nuke for 7 years. And after that, I'm a supervisor. So that's my reflex. So I knew in that show that there will be a lot of challenge in comp, but I was eager to do it. And I know there was going to be a lot of stuff to come. So here, and the next slide is going to be more like a classic presentation, but we did a bunch of Enviro work and a bunch of FX and a little bit of animation with that cute glowworm and that cool castle. But we have some simple shot, just like green screen with the main character. And later on, when they honestly, I don't really understand exactly why, but it was super important for them to have 2 more guys near Elodie and her sister. And they shoot that like almost 1.5 years later, just those 2 guys. And at the end of the show, we received that plate. And okay, no problem, because we were ready. And so for that, it's called the OJ sequence, Ocean Journey sequence. Everything was on green screen. They sent us a couple of extra due later on during that year, but we prepare ourselves with a cool setup, like a template with the water. That is a plate mix for just for the water, and the sky is a matte painting based on an actual plate also. So yeah, we were ready to create 50 shot, 200 shot, 300 shot. I mean, it was after that, it was just a key extraction, camera tracking, and that's it. We were ready. So that sequence is quite long, and it's working pretty well. It went super fast. I think it was one of the first sequence that we finished, except when they sent us those two guys 1 year and a half later. But yes, in that sequence, the Ocean Journey, we have a cool asset. I know it's called Come Time That Chapter, but I just want to bring back that asset because it's going to be important right after. We have those dragon gates. So we create one asset. Like I guess it's obvious for you guys, but just give you a trick. When you have like a similarity asset, don't create two of them, just create one of them and modify it. It's gonna cost you less amount of time and money. So we did that. It's obvious, but sometimes we forget. And yeah, so that asset, yeah, super cool. We did a couple of rounds with the VFX Supervisor client side also to add the right amount of detail, how the water is going to affect the base and how old it is and how those birches on the top and stuff like that. Was like a lot of detail. And at some point I was like, you know what, maybe before going another iteration, just put it in the shot, because we need to know how it's going to look at the end. And we have some shot they are pretty, sorry about that, they are pretty straightforward, that we need to put them in front of that cliff. And next layer. Oh, is it froze? No, it's not. Oh, wow. I think I froze my Google slide. Won't be long.
It was just it was too much awesomeness for Google to handle. It has a bandwidth of like really cool things to look at. Once it hits that capacity, the cookies just fill up.
Maybe you're right. Here you go. I'm back. So yeah, that shot is pretty straightforward in terms of layering. It's where, you know what, I'm gonna go back to this format if you don't really mind. So I think I have more control. So yeah, layering, it's a little bit more straightforward. We have our background, some elements still from a picture from someone, and our asset of those cliff, and put our cool dragon gate. That's how those dragons are called. And after that, we have our final comp, which is looking cool. It's like, okay, it's not complicated. We see our dragon, not a lot though, because we work a lot to have those details at the bottom, the bird shit on the top and stuff like that. I don't really see it. Maybe in the other shot we will see more. Wrong, because the other shot, green screen all the time. There's a little bit of fog in there. It's like, well, okay, but what they want, it's more fog, because in the storyline, their journey, they're going through that, after the ocean journey, to that moment where they go through the fog. And we see the dragon here. We design, one interesting note also, it's like the scale, all those little detail. I understand, I'm joking around. We did a lot of iteration, but I understand why we did that, because there was so many small little stuff that create the size of that dragon. If you have too many big texture, it's not working. So a lot of small stuff, miniature detail here and there, and the fire inside his mouth, the wood, the bonfire created by wood. It's need to be like small log, because if not, it's gonna be like super small. So, but at the end, it's covered in fog, and we did a fair amount of work in FX to have multiple layer of fog that we can play with in comp after that. So that's comp time. So that was like a real effort, a combined effort by FX department, lighting, but comp at the end, there are so many layers to work with to just have like a sneak peek of a part of the dragon, here. And I didn't want to fix that at the leg or FX stage, because I knew that the director wanted to create something really special here, and at the end we don't see much. But what we're seeing, we look at this movie on the big screen at Rodeo, and it's working really well. It's a little bit of shame that it was not in theater, because that moment when that thing is coming out of the fog, it feels like a little bit like one of the reference that I have for this is in San Francisco, when it's really, really foggy and you have like a ferry trip, and out of nowhere the Golden Gate just pop up. And that was our reference for this this dragon right there. So that's it. Wow, 1 hour. I'm on time. So we finished that show January 12th, 2024. So not that long ago, and it was on air March. So yeah, from 2022 to 2024, a long journey, but a fun journey. We did at the end 67 assets, is 28 environments, so land area and even the cave for the glow string, all of that. And it's like in the environment lot. And we did a couple of digidouble that I didn't show because I don't have enough time. But we have a lot of digidouble. We have one creature. We have this creature. We have the glow worm. And we have crowd. So crowd was for the boat, for the vineyard, and also around the castle. We have like some peasant going to the wedding and some noble people going to the wedding as well. 276 shot, 53 with animation, 44 with FX. FX like smoke and fire and stuff like that, and water as well. 65 with CFX, so it's deformation. 11 with face replacement. Yeah, because Millie Bobby Brown don't do horses when it's dangerous and it's normal. So we need to replace her face when she was doing this. Digidouble when she's falling to that cave. We did some mocap, and we did mocap. I think I'm one of the character in that, because we have a mocap suit. So when we need to go on the boat, we just dress up and do a mocap scene and get back and integrate it. And 20 full CG shot and 9 share shot, because yeah, it's could be important as well. If maybe you don't know, but sometime when there's a big movie with a lot of shot to do, there's some shot that a vendor is like, it's split between. For Damsel, we were at the beginning 2 vendor, and at the end we were 5, I think. And this scene at the end, we did not, I don't know if you noticed, but I didn't speak about any dragon. We did not did the dragon for this one. Our animation team was loaded on another show with dragon also. I will not say which one it is, but so we didn't have time, so we took the enviro and all the rest. But another company was doing the dragon, and at some point they were using our scene, our enviro shot, add their dragon on. So we need to figure out a way who's gonna do what first. And it's not like a competition between company. I don't know any company that they wish that the other company failed, stuff like that. So it's always fun to have share shot. It's always a challenge. It's complicated, but it's always fun to talk to Focus or Prime or Scanline or ELM or Hybrid here in Montreal. So, and we always like, hey, how are you? Nah. So we're gonna send you this. You're gonna send me that, and blah, blah, blah. So that was it. That's that's my presentation. I have time for question, and I also have it's on the YouTube. I'm pretty sure you look at it. Maybe not. It's I have also the breaking down, like the making of Damsel, so we can take a look at it also if you want.
Awesome. Well, thank you. I'm sure everybody in the chat also thanks you as well. I did have a few questions here. Also, I kind of just had a general idea for questions. Sorry, my dog. I am filming from home, so my dog is being very evasive right now.
That's okay.
Very much wants. But so you mentioned a little bit about, obviously, you going to school in Canada, but as far as your overall journey to where you are now, was this when you were younger something that you were already interested in, or was it really only through school and after school that you were like, wow, people can do this, I want to do that?
Yeah, honestly, I was completely naive about it. When I was out of school, at school, I just want to be on set, be the guy that said 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, action. I want to be I want to be just on set, and I started doing editing at school because we have this new thing called Avid. I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna start playing with this, and it was fun. I didn't really think of it as a career, but it was fun. And more I learned in my last year, I was like, oh, I think I liked it. And then at that school, we have like a how long is it? I think 1 month. So you're like a intern in a real company. And there were this machine called Flint, which is the ancestor of Flame from Autodesk. So it's a compositing software. It's really old. And I started playing with this at night because I wasn't entered, but they let us play with the material during after hours.
Oh,
And I was
cool.
like having fun, but I didn't knew what I was doing. And one of the boss, I don't know, I don't remember, who's just passed by and said, "Oh, you seem to have fun." I was like, "I don't know what I'm doing, but it's cool." And they proposed me a job to be an assistant compositor, which it's not. I mean, that it's not existing anymore. That kind of work. But I was doing rotoscopy and comping stuff and compositing. I think after 6 months, people were asking me what you're doing, and I was keep saying editing, but that was not true at all. I was like, no, that's not it anymore. I'm doing compositing. So it's just like, that's what I'm saying. It's completely naive. And one of the good school though for compositing is I was doing a lot of advertising. So a lot of little local commercial, but not little. I mean, like car commercial for Toronto and Montreal and beer and that. At the end of the 90s, they had so much money, cars and beer company. So those commercial, those were huge. So and I think the first movie that I did was The Red Violin. After that, it was Enviro work, weirdly enough. And then from there, it was just like the same. I remember that was like, oh, it's cool. It's the same work, but with more pixels, so I can see more of my work. It's not like on TV, because at that time TV was 720 by 480, so like less pixel. So I was like, that's fun. It's gonna be more fun. And I have a proposition at the same time to go in movie industry and for video game. And the company who contact me was a company called PlayStation, and I was like, I don't want to do video game. I don't understand that, and I not regret my decision. But that could be weird if I took that other road, because now they're doing some crazy thing. But at that time, I was like, I don't want to go smaller. I want to go bigger on the big screen, not on the Game Boy. So that's how. And after that, like I said before, it's from a small movie, Shark Boy. You know what's funny? An interesting story. We did a lot of things with Robert Rodriguez and the Spy Kids. And Spy Kids were doing like this 3D movie. So 3D was coming back to be cool. And I mean, it was cool for Robert Rodriguez. He's a kid basically as a director, and he was like, everybody's gonna put the glasses at the same time in the theater, like in the 50s, and that's gonna be fun. So we create this kind of fun relation with him, and we I guess we were like a specialist in that new way to do 3D thing, and that movie came along called Avatar, and they had like some issue. Not when it was in full CG, Weta was taking care of that, and that was really well done. But there's a section that it's live people, like the first section of the movie, and they have some issues. They were struggling with the compositing in those live plates, and they said, "Who's can do that?" And somehow James Cameron talked to Robert Rodriguez, and they said, "Yeah, those company in Montreal, they're really good. It's called Hybrid. It's not Rodeo. I was working at Hybrid at that time, and they called us. And by the end of the day, I was doing like the transformation of when he's linked to the avatar, the blue guy, the Navi. So it's like I said, it's accident almost, but because we're doing like a small kid movie, like 1 year later, we're doing Avatar, like the biggest hit on the planet. So it's, I guess that lesson is just say yes to almost everything. And at some point, you will end up working on Star Wars and other big stuff.
Yeah, say yes to everything except PlayStation and Game Boys. I'm joking.
My wife is working in video game industry, and that's, I mean, I'm amazed how good it is right now, the cinematic and stuff like that. I'm like, oh wow, this is so crazy. But
Yeah.
I still really like go in the theater and look at our stuff on the big screen. It's really, really fun.
That is so fascinating though, the tie-in between I don't think if anyone were to come up to me and be like, you know what Shark Boy and Lava Girl and Avatar have in common, I'd be like, I don't know. They both have the color
The
blue
VFX
at some points.
supervisor, the VFX
Yeah.
supervisor, you said add birds everywhere.
Yeah.
That's the link.
That's what brought the 3D for Avatar all together. That's what gave it its worldwide sales. Um, oh, they're asking me. I'll get to those in
I'm
a
curious too.
second.
I want to know what it is too.
So these are great. There's just a bunch of like anime references back here. I'm a huge anime fan, but this is
Uh-huh.
actually art by a artist by the name of Bryce Hope.
Okay.
If you're familiar with video games, we were just talking about video games this year at the Game Awards. Best indie video game went to a game called Sea of Stars,
Okay.
and this person did all the concept art for it. This is
Awesome.
yeah, this is Cowboy Bebop. I love Cowboy
Yep.
Bebop, so a huge poster of Cowboy Bebop. Over here, we got Attack on Titan. Right above me is from a anime called Promare, and then right here is from Cyberpunk Edge Runners, which is
Cool.
fantastic. They're all fantastic shows. And then this is
Yeah, I was
total
wondering about
marvelous
the elephant as
design.
well.
Yeah, actually, the crew over at the Marvelous Designer gave this to me. I think they only have a few of them, but it was kind of like as like a demo to display like all of the kind of textures that they can have in it, and they designed this all within the program. And it's just so cute. So a lot of stuff from my office right now is in my home. And so once I get back, like this one right here, this is Hello Kitty is Marty McFly because Back to the Future is one of my favorite
That's
movies.
awesome.
See,
That's really cool.
it's got a little watch. So just a lot of sci-fi and nerdy stuff here. You know, maybe I
Of
should
course.
work at a college that does something with visual effects animation video games one of these days. So those are all the posters. But back to you, the reason why we're here. So I did have a few questions. Obviously, we went into kind of the in
Yeah.
depth of your journey, but there's some interesting kind of like specifics that I'm curious about. So obviously, there was a lot of foliage that had to be inserted into a lot of these scenes. But you can't just throw anything in there, right? You have to throw stuff that makes sense, right? Like the bushes and the greenery, it all has to make sense. Who makes that call and who does that research? Is it all like you know, up to the person that is working within SpeedTree at that point, and they're injecting stuff into the environment? Is it collaborative? Do they make it and then hand it up, and then you go, no, this isn't right. It has to look like this. Like, how do those choices get made? Because those are big choices, right? Because it covers the entire area, and again, it has to visually make sense. So for for choices like that, that little granular stuff, how does that get done?
It depends. I will say it depends on the size of the production that you're working on. On Damsel was fairly, well, not say like it's not like Avatar or Star Wars, but it was like a decent size of a project. So they have the guy that was doing the storyboard and the concept art on client side, Patrick. Oh God, I don't remember his last name, but he did a lot of those research from at the beginning, and after that, it's a collaborative between us and him. He was there for a long time, and after that it was done. So when we're going more like at the crunchy time that we need to, like, we're discovering that we're missing stuff here and there, it's I mean it's us at the end of the day, because we're going to be the one who's going to add it. So it's always better when you're looking for the right thing to add, you're looking for the good reference, like you said, and propose stuff. Because I'm doing that for a long time, and now, and I know that, you know, when clients hire us, they expect us to be proactive and not just wait so they give you reference, and not just wait. So because, you know, on their side it's crazy also, they're editing sound and stuff like that at the same moment that we're doing our thing. The director cannot have eye on everything, and he can definitely not look for reference and example. So they expect that the VFX guy or girls or company that will propose stuff and be proactive. And I always, you know, in the same kind of idea, when they ask a specific um, kind of visual, that I will always do what they ask for. But if I have a better idea or something that I think could also help, I I, I always propose two stuff. You know, the thing that they ask and my idea. It's like, you know, maybe that also could help. You know, half of the time they stick with their idea, but the other half they go with ours. And it's good also to develop a good relation, because they feel that you are, you know, involved in that project, or you're not just doing like pixel and waiting for the next project. You know, they feel like they're being listened. So it's collaborative, but I would say it's really a good idea to be proactive about that.
I see. I see. Okay. Yeah, because I was curious about that, and then the other question that I had is, so you get the script, right? You sit there,
Yep.
you're with your glass of wine, and when you get the script, all you have is obviously black text on a white page, right? At that point, is there any kind of ideation that you're doing and thinking like, oh, this would look cool or that would look cool, or is that not helpful? Like I would imagine, because obviously they gave you a lot of storyboards and a lot of assets and all of that. So maybe thinking of something that early on is probably not the best idea, but maybe there is something that you can think about at that early of a stage that will help you prep for a lot of the work kind of coming along. Is
Yeah,
that even possible at that script stage?
it is. But I mean, you don't be attached to your idea at that point, because that can go down the drain really quickly. But when you have something that stick in your head, like for me, the example is the glowworm. The way that they was describing it is pretty much the way we designed it. Because at the end, for the glowworm, I was the one who provide reference. You know, I was looking for the thing that I have in my head even before they asked for it. I was like, I when I read that, I was like, it feel like this kind of worm with this kind of glow inside it, and so then I think they were happy about it, because they were like, oh, that's cool. So that's it, done. So it's like one thing less in their mind. So that was really, I'm reading the script, I was having that idea. So I just pursue that thing that I have in my head. But I mean, after that, the way the castle is, the way the mountain is it could be so many things that it's it's always good to have like something in your head, but I think you need to be not attached too much about that. In fact, it could be like as a general note in our industry, you need to be really involved in your thing, but at the same time not attached at all, because the client can say, no, I don't like it, and you don't have to take it personally. You need to fake out, okay, it's good, let it go, next one, and the next one you need to be really attached about it. So it's helped to feel like that, because you're gonna create something better for sure. But we're dealing with versioning and with node, with client node and stuff like that, so it's a fine line between being completely absorbed by your work, but at the same time be able to let it go really quickly. It's weird, it's a weird thing, but when you have that, you're good.
Yeah, that's one big note from a lot of artists, especially I do know that Jared Krzyzewski, who is not only a teacher at Gnomon but also has a live stream every week, which corner, check it out, says it just the same way. Don't fall in love with your work, right? Which is something that took me a very long time to kind of grasp and realize, and I think it's really important, and it's difficult too, right? But
It
I think
is.
also a little bit of a balance of an artist, because a lot of artists, you hear it all the time where you see something that they do, you go, this is amazing, and you go, well, I could have done better.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
Oh, uh,
just constantly
yeah.
like this. Okay, so then I did have another one here as well, specifically. Oh, um, so you receive all the assets from the client, and when they give you all the assets, you have all the storyboards, right?
Mhm.
So at that point, when you're kind of putting stuff together, is it like you said, referencing a lot of that Bible, or when you're bringing in some of these assets and then you're referencing the Bible, you're like, maybe I can add this tweak, or is it like you were saying, you give them what they want, and then at the same time, after you give them what they want, you're like, hey, we have the assets, and I know we have the storyboard, but we think it may be this angle. How often do you kind of veer once you get those assets, or is it really just kind of a plug in and start moving in?
I will say all the time. And I guess when you say asset, because asset, we're creating all our asset, but we're receiving like lidar and some
Yeah.
really data and stuff like that. But it's never it's I never been on a production that we were receiving material from them and just plug it and that's it.
Mm.
It's never happening. It's like it's always like a base, and sometime at the end you don't even use it, like you're creating your own stuff. So it's but we always want to have that, because it's always good to link with what they created on their side on the shoot at this, I mean, at the moment that you were filming it. So because the whole team cannot be on set. We cannot send 200 people on set to look at, but that would be my dream. So people can actually see the Douro Valley, how it is. That mountain is that big, or that the texture of the castle, it feel like that. It's like it's easy to break, or those kind of small detail that you wish that everybody knew, because when the director is going to explain it, he knew, he was there, but you were not. So at least all those data material, the lidar, the reference, all of that, we want to have it, because that's kind of a link to at the moment that they were filming. But after that, it's our own. We create from this or from the scratch, and we're using it as ref, and that's it. Is it the answer that you were looking for? Is it like a
Yeah,
good answer?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Because I think that's a big thing too, that is always curious for me, because it's an interesting relationship, right? It's not a client hiring somebody to sell them, and drop ship them a bunch of red T-shirts. It's a client that's hiring a creative to be
Yep.
creative, but within some parameters, right?
Yep.
And so with stuff like LiDAR scans that are like, okay, here's the reality, and then you have your creativity. there's that balance. So I was wondering how rigid that is, how much you have to follow it. But it sounds like there's just constant iteration until it's done. When
Yeah.
a project is done, does it even really feel like it's done? Like, do you really feel like I finished, or do you wake up like 2 days afterwards and like, oh, I got to do this thing? Do you like feel that
Uh,
it's finished?
no, I think it's the option two. It's like I wake up and I'm like, oh, or the worst is when I have an idea, but it's too late. It's like, oh, that could be great. It's like, oh, fuck, it's too late. But yeah, no, it's, it's, and to, I guess to segue on that also, it's like, it's really a collaboration. They're hiring a VFX studio, but within the VFX studio, like at Rodeo, I think we are 14 or 15 VFX soup. So with the kind of project they're sending, we also have some discussion with ourselves, and the executive producer always, they read the script and they said that could be good for, I see Mathieu doing this, or I see somebody else doing this. It's this kind of thing that you like to do. It's really, it's not pushing a pencil and creating pixel randomly. It's really like an emotional connection that you have to create with the client, with the story, because at the end we're creating art, right? So we need to speak the same language or see the same thing, or and at Rodeo, when I'm building my team, I do the same thing. I'm casting, so that modeler is amazing with anatomy. So I think he's gonna like this. I'm working on an horror movie right now, and I'm looking for people that are not, or it's either people that they like horror movie or people that they're grossed out by it, and those sometimes are even better because they're creating what they fear, and it's amazing. It's like really disgusting and stuff like that. So it's at the end of the day, it's an emotional relation that you need to have all the line from the artist to the supervisor to the relation with the client to the director. I think if the director feel that, that's going to be a easier and a journey that's going to be fun.
Yeah, I do have a interesting side note just from my perspective. Every creature artist or every person that I've met that is really, really, really into horror tend to be some of the nicest people around.
Yeah, true.
It's
It is
it's
true.
it's so strange. It's so strange.
Is it the same thing? Is it like the reverse things that people love rom-com? They're like really not cool to hang out with.
Yeah.
Psycho.
Yeah. I remember meeting Jared Krzyzewski for the first time and seeing his work, right? That is just can give you nightmares in certain contexts. And meeting him and just seeing how bubbly and kind and sense of humor it was, I was like, okay, there's got to be another person because there's no way that you're the same person. But then
Like
you
a
see
twin.
him design stuff, and he just talks about it like he's Bob Ross, but of horror, right? He's like, "Oh,
That's
what if we
nice.
put a mouth inside the mouth? Yeah, that's nice." You're like, "That's terrifying." So you were also mentioning about a certain part where you were nervous, right? You were nervous about bringing a shot to them, and you were like,
Yeah.
I'm not sure it's going to work, but you had to champion it. Um, that mentality and that drive of like pushing that forward, right? Like looking at it and saying like, I think this is good enough to show them, right? What level of that is experience, work experience, and what level of that is just your overall personality, having confidence in that piece, saying like, oh, this I think this looks really good, and showing them versus your experience of like, generally when I've done this with other clients, they like this. So
Yeah.
what's the balance there?
It's I guess a mix between the two, and also a third option, which is at the beginning of a project, there's a lot of people involved. I'm not alone. Like there's a producer, executive producer, stuff like that, and there's a game plan. I mean, with production that's going well, that's how it works. That's how it should work. It's like you have a game plan with the client also. So by every given week, you're gonna give the Stone Mountain asset. You're gonna at the end we need to finish there because the movie's. But you're not showing the final stage of it. You want to him being in part, them being involved in that in your creation. So there's also like a scheduling part of that thing that at some point you need to show stuff to client.
Yeah.
But it's weird. It's there and you need to be there. The calendar need to be. That's why I was putting the timeline out there. It's super important to have that and to have that in mind and to follow it. But when the thing is not ready, like let's say you need to send something on Wednesday, client expect something on next Wednesday, but you didn't nail it yet. It's not it. So you need to respect the calendar. But what I'm doing is like, I'm going to send you something else because I know that thing was not supposed to be today, but that's closer to be finished. This thing, and I'm, need to be honest with them. It's like, it's not there yet. We're going to need another week. And most of the time they're like, okay, cool, understand, because they understand that we're all creating stuff. It's the worst is when I guess it's confident, maybe. The worst is when you're not confident in yourself enough to tell them that it's not ready yet, and to play like, I'm gonna send you something, and then you don't, and they're like, why is there an issue? And then they start questioning, and that could go really quickly, not good in terms of relation. So there's a both of all of that. It's like respect the calendar, experience. I know that at some point showing something that it's not ready and you saying it's ready, but in the bottom of your heart that it's not it at all. And it's also I guess it's the role of the VFX soup also. It's to gauge where are we with this shot or with an asset. Are we close to be done or not close at all? Or is it going to be enough? Or at some point it's really, really down to earth, but that's the amount of money they paid for. So I mean, at some point I can go like full enviro on everything because there's a bunch of stuff that they will not see ever. So if they have like a lot of money and they give me like $1 trillion, of course I'm going to do all of that, and it's going to be cool and amazing, and then after that they can choose what they want. But it's not how it works. So it's all of that. But I guess confident will be the main word here. You need to be confident enough to show stuff or confident enough to not show stuff.
Now, have you always had that confidence? And if not, what kind of built that up?
Mistake, I guess, at some points. Like, I did wrong here. Next time, I'm not gonna learning by mistake. I guess it's super cheesy as an answer, but it's true. And small project, I guess, starting with small projects, sometimes you understand more how it works because you're closer. Like I said, you're closer to the sun. So if it's warm, but if you're too close, it burns. So you learn how to manage with that. It's I guess it's part of the personality also. I mean, it's different. All the VFX tools that I know are good with people. They're not but some are a little bit more introvert. But when they're showing their stuff, they're presenting their stuff, they are amazing. And some are more bubbly, but I think they all need to have the confidence to front that, because it could be overwhelming at some point. Having a director that is not happy, sometimes it's not fun, and it's not after you they're not happy. It's because they're scared for their baby, for the project, for the film. So you need to have enough confidence to, accept that, understand that it's not about you, it's about the project, and find solution and have confidence in your team, and yeah, confidence, I guess, the key word.
And that's a really cool analogy about the sun, right? Is that you want to stay close enough to be warm, but you don't want to get too close that you're going to get burned, and you're kind of in control of your own orbit, right? Because in that same sense, you could just say, well, screw it, I'm not going to orbit the sun at all, and then it gets cold, and then you never work on any of that stuff. So finding that
Yeah.
balance is that's really interesting. That's a good one. I'm gonna keep that one. All right. So then you were also talking about you were working with one of your colleagues, and they dipped into Houdini to problem solve something very specific. The bioluminescent strings that were hanging in the cave. Yeah. I guess this is a two-part question. How many people on your team are kind of like multifaceted? So they're like a Swiss Army knife. They can do a lot of things. And number two, how important would you say that it is to have people like that on your team?
It's a really good question. I think Swiss Army people are gem. They're really important to have because they could jump on anything quickly. And often those master of none. What's his expression? Master of none, jack of
jack of all trades, master
all
of
trade.
none.
Exactly. I think they're often they're people that they can learn stuff quickly, so they know a bit. But if they have to do this Houdini thing with the glow string, he knew that he can do it. He didn't never do it, but he knew that somehow that should do it, and he learned almost along the way. Because he's one of those people who is curious and as a generalist that we said.
Mm-hmm.
That's really important. And I think when I start, I'm going to talk like a grandpa here for a while. When I started a long time ago, all of us were generalists because there were no really specification. There were no like Houdini, FX people, or modeling, or it was like you're doing 3D CG. You're doing CG, you're doing everything in CG. And after that, I was a compositor who was doing editing, a little bit of CG as well. So you were, learning of everything. But when the project becomes bigger, and it's normal, you need to split workload because it was too much. So for a long time, we went from the generalist era to really specialist, like pinpoint specialist artists. But now we're in the industry, we're looking for more generalists because sometimes we need someone to just, can you do like Matt Painter, for example, they're also good in speed tree and Enviro because sometimes you just need to do the matte paint. But if you need to project stuff, let's say, you're good with projection and modeling. So if you're good with projection, you should be pretty good with model as well and manage model because you want to project stuff not only on the plane, you want to project stuff on something a bit more sophisticated. So if you do have those capacity and those expertise, and not just like one but more than one, we look for that more now because we realize that it's important to have them. We lost them for a while, now we want them back. So I really love, I mean, I understand the specialists, I get, and it's important that we have them, but when I have a generalist on my team, I feel safer all the time.
Generalists make us feel safer. I mean, I think that is definitely something that kind of permeates through everything nowadays. Is that the jack of all trades, master of none is kind of petered out. No matter what you get into, you really have to have kind of multiple professions. So, like, let's say you wanted to be a 2D artist. You also have to be a social media manager. You also have to promote yourself, right? There's a lot of levels to it. Even now, a lot of students and artists, they also have to do that, whether it's VFX, modeling, anything along those lines. They still have to do a little bit of marketing and kind of break themselves out of their normal shells. So I think it's interesting because a lot of these things they're so complicated, and I think to myself, gosh, how can somebody have time to work on this thing and then also pick up Houdini and then know enough to have something that can actually be used in their actual workflow? But I think that probably ties in with just the passion and the overall like wanting to learn. Do you still feel that you're still diving and learning about stuff on a pretty consistent basis?
I think there's a thing that I do from time to time. It's because I'm doing post-production for such a long time, but I was eager to understand how the pixel are arriving in front of my eye. So I want to be on set, and I had no time to be on set because that's a full-time job. So what I did is I started directing some music video here in Montreal. So I have some credit as a director but it's just for, I will not say for fun. I mean, it was serious, band here in Montreal, but it was giving me the opportunity to learn or understand the process, learn how difficult it is sometimes to have a shot, and when you don't have that perspective, it's arriving in front of your eyes and you're like, they shoot it like dumb people, why they did that. Or I remember on the movie 300, that's a long time ago, but on set there was like and I mean that explained a lot of stuff after that, because when I was receiving that on my side, the character was on a blue screen, but I mean, half of the body and the head was on the ceiling. The light was there, the light rig was over his head, and it was like, why? I mean, there's a blue screen right there, but on set, it was so cool the way he was acting, and just by having the camera a little bit lower, it was giving him a little bit more power, and everybody get caught into that, and they just get lower and lower, and everybody forgot about the blue screen. Everybody was looking at the action of that actor, and that was it. And I understand why that could happen, because on set everything goes so fast and it costs a lot of money. And by doing this, I learned so much stuff. By directing my own thing, I was like, okay, I get it. It's not to say I could do better, it's to understand why sometimes I'm receiving stuff that it's not perfect, because I understand the struggle. Why? I mean, there's so many people working in a movie, so many finger touching material that at the end of the day will come in front of our eyes, and we are at the end of the road, end of the line. So I guess it's important to have respect to everything that arrived before, that create that thing that we have, that we're playing with on our computer. A lot of people work on that scene or on that shot. So yeah, I think it's important to be aware of all of that when
Yeah,
we're working
that
in our
even
industry.
speaks more into the generalist thing that we were just talking about too, right? You're getting different kind of perspectives and angles on the stuff that you do, which I would assume
Yeah.
is super helpful. Okay, so lots changing, right? If you were starting out today, so you were in compositing, and then you're going to kind of make this road to VFX, what would you do kind of differently? What would you do the same? What advice do you have for people that are starting out now that are like, yeah, I wanna get to that point. I want to work on this fun stuff. What if you were kind of rewind? We have Mathieu 10 years ago, so you'd be 18, right? Um, so what? So what? How would you change it up? What would you do? And what advice do you have?
I think what I will do differently. That's a good cut me out guard there. I'm not really sure. I think what I know that was helpful for me. So I would say, let's say I meet my younger me, and I would say, don't do this or do this. I will say keep learning and be aware of the new. Yeah, okay, that's it. Be aware of what's coming toward us. Be aware, like be curious about new technology, because sometimes I guess when I was doing Flame and I was getting better and better and better, people were telling me, "Are you good? It's fun to working with you." And I was doing advertising with client, and Flame was the shit. Flame was the thing that was the machine. And there was a couple of other software arriving, like Shake and Combustion and Nuke. And I remember the guy who presented Nuke software when I was working at where we're working at, and it was so military. It was a long time ago. It was like one of the first version of Nuke. It was not appealing at all, not sexy at all. And I was like, that thing's gonna never work. Flame's gonna be the thing, and it's gonna be like that for the rest of my life. And I was wrong. So I guess be always when it's easier to tell the student that now because they're learning everything. But it's gonna, and of course you will be curious about everything, but at some point you will become really good at something, and then it's gonna be a little bit more difficult to acknowledge that there may be something else, but you're not gonna be good at that something else because you're good at what you're doing right now. And that I guess I was scared to learn another software to start from the scratch again, and I mean at some point I had no choice, and it was a good thing. So I guess it will be this, to be curious and not be so proud of yourself when you're gonna be good at what you're gonna do. Be proud of yourself, but don't be shallow about the rest of the other software. I'm saying software, that's an example, but other way to do stuff. So that could be a good advice that I will give to my younger self. I think I would say,
Yeah,
shut
I
up,
think
Mathieu.
I think and birds. Don't forget that, and add birds. That's what you know.
Yeah.
Then you would be where you are so much sooner. I think that's all really helpful info. It is a kind of a good point that you brought up about being worried to kind of start from scratch. I have a theory that when you get fairly decent at something, you now know how long it takes to get good at something, right? Whatever it is, if it's cooking or VFX or whatever it is. So when you pick up a new task, you know how long it took you to get good at that other thing. So you should at least invest that same amount of time into this new thing that you're trying to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that can be daunting. You don't always
Yep.
have to do that, but just the idea of that sometimes is like, oh,
True.
it's really intense.
But I guess the more you're doing this, the better you become. Again, we're going back to the generalist thing, or it's the more you're open to that, the quicker you're gonna learn, or the easier it's gonna be, and less afraid you're gonna be for the next task or the next challenge.
Yeah, that's one of the fascinating things I think about a lot of the Gnomon students is every year, we have like a reel, and then I think every quarter we have a best of term. And just seeing them grow and being like, yeah, I don't normally do this, but I dabbled in Nuke, and oh yeah, no, I don't normally do this, but I did some stuff in Houdini and made this, or their collaborative efforts, like just that alone, understanding teamwork at such this early stage, they're
Yeah.
constantly growing. And so it's good to hear, especially from your perspective, to not let that go, right? Everything
Yeah.
they're doing now is going to be very helpful. So I think we had a pretty amazing stream, and I think we talked about this already. If people want to stay up to date with you, they head over to, I think we had the little thing on the, there we go. Thank you so much, Armand in the background, making everything possible. Go ahead and head over to Rodeo FX _ film.episodic. Did you have any final things for us, Mathieu? I mean, you've already disclosed so much, and you made it such an amazing stream. I really want to thank you so much for your time. This was so awesome. But any other closing statements for us?
Can't wait to meet you guys. I hope we're gonna meet on on the studio or on set or whatever. I'm really always happy to. I don't see you guys, but I know you're there to know that there's a relève. How can I say that in English? There are people arriving. The people's going to be there and be good and be young and keep pushing because you guys will be the one who will create amazing stuff in the next years, and you will be the one who going to create that new big Dune movie or something like that because you're there. And it's going to be hard sometime. Don't give up. It's going to be harsh, and don't give up. Don't take it personal. Either even when somebody's going to tell you that you're the shit and you're going to be you're the best, don't take it too personal. And same thing the other side, if they're telling you that you're not good at all and why you're doing this, don't take it too personal. we're dealing with a lot with emotional person in that industry. So you need to just, they're talking about your picture, not about you. So they're thinking about your asset or your, so it's the thing that we're creating. So I guess that's a good one advice that I will tell you guys.
Yeah.
You know, that's it.
I think that's
And
great.
that I was really proud to be part of I mean of your day. And I was you know, because I look at other presentation that you have with other people, like previous presentation, and man, I'm honored. It's an honor to be here.
I mean, the pleasure is all ours. So thank you so much. Hopefully next time you're in LA, you can come in and check out the new campus. That would be super fun.
Yeah.
And then we can talk about, you know, what music video you did. The only band that I know that is from Canada that is one of my all-time favorite bands is a band by the name of Tokyo Police Club.
Yeah, I know that.
Oh yeah,
They're
I love
good.
them so much.
They're
I'm gonna
really
see
good.
them in September. I'm very, very excited about it.
Cool.
But yeah, we can exchange it and talk about that. And then you out there watching from home, we would love to see you as well if you're in the area. If you're interested on what Gnomon can do for you, please go ahead and visit us at www.gnomon.edu. Make sure to follow us on all of our socials at Gnomon_school. And that's it. Until next time, we'll see you. Make sure to stay up to date because we got other stuff coming up too. Thank you again, Mathieu. We'll see you all later.
Merci beaucoup. Bye bye. Take care.